Severe weather events cause billions of dollars in damage. On average, disasters cost the U.S. $29 billion per year. How do you know if you are ready for the next disaster? Joining us this morning on Business, Life, and Coffee is Dr. Bob Hartwig, President and Economist of the Insurance Information Institute.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for having me.
Great. What are the primary lessons learned from big disasters such as Hurricane Katrina, Superstorm Sandy, wildfires, and earthquakes?
Well, sadly, we've learned from major disasters in the past that many small businesses in particular are not well prepared. And what typically happens is they simply don't have enough insurance, or they don't have the right insurance, or some combination of those two. And so the first thing we advise is that you sit down, take a look at your insurance policy, identify any inadequacies that may be there, and sit down with your insurance professional, your agent, your broker, and make sure you cover all of those gaps that you find in your policy. And there are a couple of key areas for businesses to consider in particular. Obviously, you want to make sure you have enough property insurance to cover any damage or destruction to your property that occurs. And you also want to make sure that if necessary, if you're in a flood-prone area, you need to have a flood policy. You might be able to secure that through a private insurer. You may need to get it through the National Flood Insurance Program. But one area where businesses often run into difficulty is they have not properly insured their inventories. And you may have hundreds of thousands, thousands, tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars of inventory in your place of business. And at certain times of the year, such as peak season, you might have even more. So you want to make sure that you have insured your inventory that you have there. And one way to do that, of course, and to insure your business overall, to make sure that you're properly insured and to expedite the claim process afterward, is to take a business inventory. We advise homeowners to do this. We advise businesses to do this. And so what that means is you need to go through the business, look at all your business equipment, and you need to look at your actual inventory that's going to be offered for sale, and even such things as your vehicles. You want to make sure that you've documented your vehicles, what they look like now, because they could be severely damaged in some types of disasters. And you're going to photograph all of this, and you're going to store in a remote location. And this will help expedite the claims process afterward. You'll be able to document the possessions that you have for your business, the property that you have, the state of the property, and then that'll be compared to the damage that's actually done. And again, this will move things along much more quickly in the event there is a major disaster.
That's really great advice. And in the era of smartphones and digital photography, it should be easy enough to just snap pictures of your inventory and keep track that way, right?
Absolutely. You can take pictures, you can record the value of these assets, you can take pictures of receipts, for example. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you've got a backup. Not only, again, you're going to have a digital backup, you're going to have photographs, but your day-to-day business records are of value too. For instance, something that's of most value to many small businesses is going to be their client list. And that could be sitting on a computer in your business or in your home office. And if that happens to be wiped out by a fire or by a flood, or even something like a lightning strike could cause an issue and basically fry your server. And then what? You have no information left to restart your business. So what you need to consider is getting this information up on the cloud. That's going to be part of any strong continuity plan that you have today. And we advise that you visit the Insurance Information Institute's website at iii.org, where we have a whole host of videos, papers on the issue of business insurance and how to properly insure your business and recover from a disaster.
Yes, listeners, please take a look at that website for more information. Switching gears to our home life now, are there any disasters that are not covered in standard home and renters insurance policies?
Right. A standard homeowner's policy is going to cover you for most types of disasters, except the two major exceptions are going to be flooding and earthquake. And again, just as with businesses, you're going to need to purchase a separate flood insurance policy. And that will cover you from rising water or from storm surge, for example, things that many people in the coastal areas or people who live along rivers or lakes or many parts of the country are actually prone to water water-related damage. So make sure you've got that even if you're not in a flood zone. The cost is very, very affordable, and it's available throughout the United States. Now, if you're in some parts of the country, particularly parts of the West, but other parts as well, the New Madrid area in southern Missouri and a few other places, you want to consider earthquake coverage. That is also not covered under a standard homeowners insurance policy, and really that's going to be the only thing that's going to protect you in the event that your home or your business is damaged or destroyed in the event of an earthquake. And so that's something to consider. We haven't had a major earthquake in the United States in about 20 years, but it's not a matter of if, it's simply a matter of when.
Right, that's a great point. And I was just in San Francisco a few weeks ago for business, and the whole time I was thinking, I wonder if there's going to be an earthquake.
Is this when the big one's going to be hit? Yeah, going to hit. And you know, we had one in Napa last year. It was a minor quake, and we have them around the U.S. We even had one in Virginia that damaged the Washington Monument a few years ago.
Yeah,
but
I survived that. I survived that quake.
I'm glad to hear it. But you know, it could have been a lot worse, especially in parts of the country like that, which are not used to such things. And so it's something you want to consider in areas where earthquakes are relatively remote in terms of their likelihood. The cost is going to be very, very affordable.
Okay, that's good. And so a lot of us, you know, we purchase insurance policies, but we really don't like to read the fine print, or we'll just pick insurances based off of the commercial that made us laugh, or the one that we thought was the best, right? But what are the key things to consider when buying a home or renter's insurance policy, and even a policy for your business?
Right. When you're buying any type of insurance policy, you want to make sure you're dealing with a company that has a strong reputation for service, for quality service, and also a company that is financially strong. And you can check out the ratings of an insurer, its financial strength ratings on a website with a organization like AM Best. You can go to ambest.com and you can see the financial strength ratings for those companies. You can also, in terms of, you can look at J.D. Power Associates and other sorts of rankings to see how companies do in terms of their service. You can talk to friends and you can talk to relatives about their experience. But it's a situation, it's a consideration for your home, your business, and even for your vehicle that you want to take really, really seriously, because when you are going to call your insurance company, this is unfortunately going to be usually a time in your life when you're going to be under some duress, you're going to be under some stress, and you want to have a good experience at that point. So you want to be dealing with a company that rates really well in terms of quality of service and financial strength.
Sure. And speaking of that time of duress, our listeners will want to prepare in advance for times like this. Could you provide a disaster checklist for a small business?
Absolutely. On our website, you can download a disaster checklist, but you want to make sure that you've got the right coverage in the right amount. That's the number one consideration. That is also a problem that many businesses wind up only finding out about after a disaster and after it's too late. They did not purchase enough insurance, and they did not have the right type of insurance. And so take a look at your policy, take your policy out. We recommend you do an insurance checkup once a year or so. And if you have any questions at all, call your agent, call your broker right away before it's too late. They'll be able to quickly close any coverage gaps that you have. We also suggest that, again, as I mentioned earlier, that you want to take an inventory of all your business possessions as well as your inventory for sale. And you'll want to make photographic evidence of that and store it in a remote location. And we also suggest that you consider making your business more disaster resistant. That means investing in such things as roofs and doors and windows that can help prevent the intrusion of wind or water or damage by fire. And usually you can make these sorts of improvements for not too much money. It can actually earn you an insurance discount. So that's something you should very carefully consider, is making your business somewhat more disaster resistant. You might consider investing in, for example, such things as a modern fire suppression system. That can help get you a discount as well. Even if it isn't related to a natural disaster, that's actually a very common type of risk that businesses face. Fire, for example. And if you are a business that you don't own the building yourself, you'll still need a tenant's policy, okay? Some businesses make the mistake of assuming that just because they don't own the building, that they are leasing space, that somehow the landlord is going to be responsible for the costs associated with repairing and replacing your inventory and your property. That is not going to be the case. And sadly, there's evidence after major disasters that as high as 25% of small businesses actually go under. Not because of the damage from the disaster itself, actually. It's because of the lack of income afterwards. And so that's one major point, is businesses need to buy a business interruption coverage. And what that does is that provides you with money that will tide you over while your business is being repaired or while it's being rebuilt. It provides you with your lost profits as well as any extra expenses that you might encounter if you need to relocate your business and operate from a new location for a temporary period of time.
Well, I know that business insurance would have helped a lot of the store owners in Baltimore, in my area. There were recent riots a few months ago, and a lot of the businesses were either disrupted or because of the curfews, the restaurateurs
Right.
and bars had to cut their hours. And so we're in this era of penny pinching and making sure that we're being mindful of budgets. But we don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish. How can our listeners save money on home, renters, or business insurance policies, but still have peace of mind knowing that they're properly insured?
Right. What we recommend in terms of saving money is that you can consider taking a higher deductible on your policy, for example. So long as you can afford to pay that deductible out of your own pocket, that is going to reduce your cost because the insurer won't be paying for the lowest dollar claims anymore. You'll be responsible for that, and you'll be responsible for a slightly higher proportion of any loss that occurs from a major disaster. But you'll be covered for everything above that. But that's going to save some money there. That's one way that you can do that. You can also shop around, okay? If you believe that you might be able to save money with another insurer, you can ask your agent or your broker for some quotes. Now you want to make sure that, again, you're completely covered, particularly if you're a business, that the reason why the quote is lower isn't because some type of coverage isn't being included. So you want to make sure you're comparing apples to apples, both in terms of the coverage and the quality of the insurer, both in terms of its financial strength and its quality of service. So, but your agent or broker should be able to advise you as to that. So, higher deductibles, shopping around, those are two ways. And I mentioned earlier on investing in mitigation in your home or your business to the extent that you take steps to reduce the likelihood of a disaster causing losses in your property or reducing the magnitude of those losses. That is going to reduce the expected losses for the insurance company, and your policy costs, your premium, will fall as a result of that. So that's a way to it is a way to make sure that your business or your stays up and running, or is more likely to stay up and running after a disaster, and that your home is going to be habitable after a disaster occurs. And it's also a way to lower your insurance costs at the same time. You're making an investment, in this case, in your home or your business. And hopefully in the long run, if you decide to sell it, that will also increase the resale value of that home or that business.
Great point, great point. And then my last question, this is for the listeners that are tuning into the podcast and they are saying, I don't think I have enough insurance, or I didn't think to document my marketing closet, or I have jewelry and TVs at home that I don't think I listed on my insurance. Is it ever too late to get more insurance or to amend your current insurance policy?
Generally, there's no time like the present to address any insurance shortcomings that you have. However, a good example would be flood insurance. Now, flood insurance takes 30 days to go into effect. So if a storm that's going to cause storm surge is barreling up the East Coast, it's simply going to be too late. So it's also the case that if, for instance, a hurricane might be approaching the coast, insurers likely will not sell that type of policy until the storm has passed. And there are obvious reasons for this. Insurers don't want people buying coverage, a day or two before a storm and then canceling it a day or two afterwards. Obviously, it can't work in that respect. So what you need to do is just simply look at it this way. There's no time like the present. If you identify any gaps, call your insurance professional immediately. They'll be able to address all those concerns very quickly and affordably for you.
Right. It's not like an umbrella. When you see it's raining, you can't just go and run in and get it and then you're covered.
That's right. You need to keep the coverage in force 365 days a year.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Hartwig, this has been a great conversation. Where can our listeners go for more information about insurance and about your organization?
Right. For more information about home and business insurance, we ask that you go to the Insurance Information Institute's website at iii.org, and there you'll find free home inventory software that you can use on your smartphone. And you'll also find lots of resources and videos for your home and business to help you be prepared for disasters of every sort. Not only how to be prepared, but how to handle the claim filing process afterwards.
Great. Thanks for joining me today, and hope you have a great rest of your day.
My pleasure. Thank you.